Hello and good afternoon, and welcome to what is promising to be a very interesting discussion. And I welcome the people who are with us in the audience. My name is Wallace Kantai, and I'm not an entrepreneur. I'm a person who asks entrepreneurs questions. I want to give it over to Vimal before I introduce anyone else, because Vimal, we're in your house. What are we doing here?
I think we're basically discussing this issue of entrepreneurship. Right now in Kenya, we're talking about entrepreneurship. It's a buzzword. And I think the Kenyan entrepreneurship spirit that exists all across, it's important to disclose that, to open up, and to really get our youth to feel that they can also be entrepreneurs. I think entrepreneurship is the biggest opportunity that anybody has in terms of making progress in this country.
When I say in Vimal's house, it's because we're here at Bidco in Thika in Kenya, and Vimal is the CEO of Bidco. If you don't know what Bidco is, just look in your kitchen closet if you're in Kenya or anywhere else in East Africa and look, and you'll see a Bidco product. The person who's sitting next to him is George Waitito, and we knew George Waitito in one respect, which was when you're dealing with numbers. I presume you got bored with numbers and went off to build a castle.
No, I still deal with numbers because even running a castle needs some, number crunching. Yeah, but I'm a researcher by profession, former CEO of the Stedman Group, which later became Synovate. But my passion to transform my rural village where I grew up led me to establish the Safaria Castle up in Laikipia, in Nyandarua County.
All right, and Evans Odongo is someone who's probably the most famous among all of us because he's been on international media. Evans, you became famous not very long ago. Why did you become so famous?
I wouldn't say I'm famous. I was just a person who's trying to solve a problem that I saw, and then trying to build social enterprises around it to provide, to solve the issue of energy poverty that affects a lot of people.
The final person we have sitting right next to me, so that's very lucky of you, Smoothie, is you're a leadership coach, which means you don't do, you just talk.
No.
So what do you talk about?
What do I talk about? So I work with organizations and leaders who are looking to achieve exceptional business and professional goals. So I work with people who really are looking to take their leadership to the next level.
All right, cool. So that's who we'll be speaking to. And there's lots of people in this room. There's lots of you out there on the internet. Feel free to come in and continue with this conversation of ours. And let's talk about technology then, Vimal, because outside of when technology lets us down, you think technology is an enabler when it comes to these things. But my problem is it's become too much of a cliche. Come in, take a bit of technology with a good idea, and you'll become rich. And I think that's a bit of a simplification.
Maybe I disagree with you there. I think technology is the biggest enabler. It's a game changer for the world. And I think if you look at everything now, enabled by technology, you will scale up so much more faster. You'll be able to do ease. There's ease of a global village, and you can reach the world immediately. Without technology today, if you look at all the large companies, which were not existent 10 years ago, most of them will be enabled by technology. So if you look at all those new forms of business, you talk about Uber, you talk about Facebook, WhatsApp, they're taking over the space.
Those are Americans. We're in Africa.
In Africa, if you see M-Pesa, it's technology enabled.
And I was waiting for you to say M-Pesa. Give me practical examples outside of American companies and outside of M-Pesa that actually work because technology works.
Oh, there's plenty. I think if you look at what has happened in Kenya, there's a young entrepreneur last week who I talked to, under the age of 25, who's come up with a device that tracks your car, can stop your car. In fact, if you're drunk and you get into the car, your car won't start. He's invented that in Kenya. It's technology enabled. All he needs now is venture capital to scale up. That sort of a venture is available here, that sort of innovation is available here, and that's where we need to really put together the entrepreneurs along with capital, put them together and see how to scale up, and really do the how-tos and the know-how, bring it to them, let them actually know how they can scale up. And that's what this whole week is about in terms of entrepreneurship and scaling up.
Evans, you are directly a technology, well, you got into where you are simply because of technology. What's that story?
I think, I tend to agree with you that technology is becoming part of, it's like a cliche at least, in some sense. And because, I talk to a lot of young people who basically think they can have a laptop and, create an app and suddenly they become, millionaires and billionaires, which I think we need to be able to, as much as we should encourage it, it should be relevant to our market and what's going to solve our own issues.
But let's look at you specifically. What did you do? Because people will look at you and say, you know what? If Evans did it, he looks exactly like me, then it must be easy. So again, what's your story?
Yeah, I think for me it's just that I grew up where I didn't have access to electricity, and so I decided that I need to do something about it. So I created a simple solar lighting system, which I simplified in a way that it can be made, with some of the materials that are available locally, and through that we work so that we can provide opportunities for other young people to know that you don't need to have, you don't need to have a college degree for you to be able to do something. We need to make sure that we simplify technology so that it can be more relevant to a majority of people. And so that's for me what I try to do. And then through that I've learned that of course technology is good to enable businesses, processes to expand faster. But also I still believe that the human element in everything that is done is really critical.
George, is it fair to say that you went backwards in this technology story? Because you are the proprietor of a physical place, which means it's not the equivalent of a Facebook where if I'm sitting anywhere in the world, I'll access the product. For you, I actually need to get on a plane if I'm not in Kenya, get into the airport in Nairobi, drive for 3.5 hours into Laikipia to actually come and embrace or engage with what you've created. Mm-hmm. So in some respects, you're anti-technology.
Well, I think I totally disagree with you on that. And first of all, let me clarify something here. Technology is a very big word. And every time we keep dumping it on the table, we keep talking technology to young people, people don't understand what we're talking about. And I think Evans here is raising an important point to say that it's about relevance of the technology that is important. What technology is relevant to your business? Now, you see that I went backwards. That is not true at all, because again, like I said, this was a personal dream. I had to go and transform the place where I grew up because it brought me up and so forth. And it so happened that for me to accomplish all the goals that I had to create something physical. Now, just like this company, Vidco is a physical institution, but it is powered using a lot of technology. So similarly, it's not that we don't use technology because we're in the village. Not at all. As a matter of fact, we use a lot of it, for the business processes and marketing and so forth. Yeah.
Smoothie, the technology story, again, like everyone is saying, can either be a very easy thing to throw around, or it can actually be something practical that someone can sit down and say, I have an idea that I want to scale up, and thus I want to be able to use it. Mm-hmm. What exactly does technology, if you are to be narrower, as George says rightfully, technology is anything, but ICT, information and communications technology, which is what it typically means, what's that meaning to someone who has a bit of capital, they're starting up a business?
I think the first thing that's important to remember is exactly the point that George made, which is around relevance. Because I think that we have so much accessibility, not just locally, but globally. So if you have an idea, you can actually get input on your idea from around the world. And I think that's what's made it so accessible. If you're looking for information, if you're looking for specific ideas or how to grow your business or how to grow your leadership skills, whatever it may be, you have that at your fingertips. And I think that's the relevance.
But doesn't that, Vimal, present a danger in itself? Because anyone, anywhere in the world can look at and copy anyone, anywhere in the world. Whereas before, I needed to worry about Nairobi, or I needed to worry about my little village, now I need to worry about anyone.
Absolutely. And I think, like everybody said clearly, technology does not only mean a laptop and a computer. It means the way you do things are different. Today we are doing this through technology. This whole Google Hangout is through technology. But you will be copied. There's nothing different in that, because today it is very easy to copy and paste. But at the end of it all, where is your customer? Do you have the same customer? Concepts can be copied, but I tell you, the intellectual property is no more that I've done it and it's mine and nobody will ever know about it. Like the Coca-Cola recipe, which was kept secret for so many years, it's available. The question is, what are you going to do with that technology? What are you going to copy, and where's your customer at the end? If you have a customer, you have a need or an unmet need, and then you use technology as an enabler, it scales up faster. Now, if George here wants to show his new tourist resort out to the world, how is he going to do it without technology? He's going to print brochures and send them out, mail, through snail mail. It's not going to work anymore. People are going to do this through bookings.com or whatever, and people are going to come on board and say, fine, where is this place? So technology is an enabler. It's not the end. It's not the ultimate of it all. The human is required at the end, but what we do with it, this is the age of, we're all from the BG group. BG means before Google. The guys who are coming in today are after Google.
What do you say? We're old.
Yes, we have to accept that. But today's age, today's youngsters think completely differently. And they're search free. They can get all the knowledge they want. But now the wisdom and the action on the ground, how to get things done with a customer at the end. Because even if people copy your idea, you need to make sure you improve your idea all the time.
Someone sits there and says, you know what, I admire what George Waititu is doing, but George had a job. He was paid not very badly, which means he was able to save money, and this is why he was able to follow his dream. I'm sitting here, I'm 22 years old, I don't have any of those opportunities available to me. I don't know anyone, I don't have any money, I don't have any opportunities. I don't even have land for a dream to sprout on.
Very good question. First of all, I would like to liken this entrepreneurial thing, or entrepreneurship as we've been discussing it, to falling in love. And I want to believe all of you have fallen in love at one point or another. It doesn't mean that the person you ended up marrying.
Hold on, has everyone here fallen in love?
If you haven't, you see.
The laugh implies they haven't, but yeah.
But I want to give a very romantic sort of response to what you've asked. And I'm talking about falling in love here because for you to achieve or to become a serious entrepreneur, you must love the idea that you're pursuing. Your idea must come from your heart, okay? It must not be something that you're trying to copy. It must not be a strategy of envy. It must not be something that you've seen, but it has to be something really personal.
I wanted to just say that I love this idea of being in love. What I will also say, though, that in order to be in love and to actually get a result, you need to have something to be able to power that dream. And I think that's what's very important. So whether it's rose-colored water or whatever it may be, there's something that powers you to take that action. So I do think that you have to focus in and understand what are those things that are innate in you that makes you behave in that way? Because there are lots of people who fall in love with somebody but won't do anything about it at all.
But let me come to something else, which is entrepreneurship in this country, and also in some respects globally, has become a young people's game. If you're beyond 30, then you're no longer in the game, you know? And I think it's a bit unfair because once you're beyond that age, then people will consider you a failure if you're still in employment.
No, I disagree. I think at any age, entrepreneurship, you can step out from your job and really become an entrepreneur. But what's happened is we've been fueling a lot of youth and women empowerment because we've seen that the potential is there because they don't have an opportunity cost. They don't have to get out of a job and start doing entrepreneurship. So they're easy startups. And I think the whole startup game in the world has been brought about by a lot of venture capital, accelerators, people who are funding all these guys and saying, here, start up, because you could have an idea that becomes big and scalable. But anybody, even Wallace Kantai, can leave his job and start his own media company or start his own different area. And really today, the internet, the technology we talk about is a leveler. It's leveled the small man, big man syndrome. Because it used to be like it's a big company only that can start it off. All small companies, even a small guy can start up a big company through the internet or through technology. And I think that's where the leveler is. Before, it used to be having a lot of capital, a lot of asset on the ground, a lot of fixed assets. Today, it's taboo to have that. In fact, it's better to have no assets, to have leased out everything and really have space and you have an idea. So scaling up ideas is far more faster. Number two, I think exponential growth is in today. Exponential growth means not just 1 or 2 times, it's 4 times, 10 times, 10x growth, and that's happening. It's not difficult to do that today. Africa as a place is waiting for opportunity. In fact, if you decide, you can see the opportunities in Africa, or Kenya for that matter right now. I can tell you for Kenya right now, you've got market access to the US, you've got market access to Europe, the whole of Africa, right from Libya, Egypt down to Zimbabwe, free market access. Are we leveraging it? Are we utilizing it? No, and that's where the opportunity lies today. We've still been looking at traditional markets where we say it's Britain or it's other places where we export to. Why not look at Africa itself?
Someone else to my Nigerian told me that if you want to be a millionaire, Lagos has 17 million people or thereabouts, if they know how to count them. Sometimes they wonder how to count them, but 17 million people. Take one little corner of Lagos, sell 1 million people something for $1 a year, and you're automatically a millionaire. It implies to me opportunity, yes, but on the other hand, it implies to me that we're going to get a lot more competition from people who have had to deal with extremely difficult situations.
I think a lot of us, we're our own enemies in a big way for Africa. And Africans themselves have to blame because we've still got people who say, oh, you know, there are people who can run it, but there's people who can't run it. All the entrepreneurs, the budding entrepreneurs right now, if they were given a platform to start making things happen, I believe it can be done. Number one. Number two, demographics even for Kenya, for East Africa. Today we have, from a 44 million Kenyan market, we have access to 150 million in East Africa. That's just Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, Burundi, 5 countries. But look at the whole of COMESA. We've got duty-free, tariff-free access. Why aren't we doing that here? Why aren't we making things here and sending them across? USA market, we've got free, duty-free, quota-free access to them right now. 6,500 line items we can export to them. Why aren't we taking advantage of this? It's just the exposure. And I think this is where we need to expose our people to start looking at these areas. If they need to scale up, we need to bring in growth capital, whether it's from local chamas or it's from overseas or wherever, it doesn't matter.
All right, so interesting thoughts from people who have actually managed to make it, but like they told you, it's not always easy, it's not always obvious. But if you have a passion for this thing, let us know what you're thinking. There's lots of these conversations going on. This particular and continues hashtag Bidco Live. On the 25th of July 2015, we have the Global Entrepreneurship Summit. President Barack Obama of the US is going to be here in Nairobi with a lot of entrepreneurs from both the US and Kenya and all sorts of other places being there. But let this conversation continue. There's a lot more of this happening. But for now, thank you for being with us and goodbye.